What's up, everybody? Here we are yet again. Me, Zach Brown, and Mr. Aaron Wilson here to talk about remote sales. And excited to chat with Aaron. We are going to be, well, I lost my notes. We're going to talk about everything sales processes, psychology of the consumer, why objections are overrated, according to Aaron, and why you shouldn't pitch, but teach instead. So Aaron, good to chat with you, man. Tell everyone who's watching a little bit about yourself, how you got to where you are today, found the remote sales space, got started with Sales Jump, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely. So I got in the whole just sales period long time ago, probably almost 10 years ago, car sales. So when you hear my approach, it is very much, it has that very rustic kind of, kind of in your face, but also down being in the high ticket space, you kind of let down your hair a little bit. I know I don't have any, but kind of let down your hair, and it's more so consultative type kind of sales. And you bring those two together, and now you got like this little dynamic of, you need this more than I do, And it's almost like passive aggressive, but it works, right? So it works for me. So I got in doing car sales for some time, and I don't want to say I sold everything under the sun, because that's will almost sound illegal at this point, right? But I've sold everything. From solar, I've sold security, I've sold cars, I've sold a lot of stuff that we see right now in the e-com space. A lot of things. So bringing all of these different components together, I'm very much big on the consumer. I don't really care what the product is. And I do to an extent, but I want to see who are you and why you need this. And then I go from there, And right now, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So when you talk about, Sales Jump and the reps at Sales Jump, we're very big on creating that close personal relationship. I tell my reps, I don't really care. You could be selling a bottle of water. It's the same kind of sell. If they have no need for water. If you're selling water in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, you can actually drink it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, good luck selling that bottle of water. So you got to find a space for that necessity. You got to understand who you're talking to. Simple as that. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So you guys are really focused on making sure that you guys are delivering a product and service to people that actually need it, not just trying to move a bunch of product for the sake of moving product.
No, 100%. I think who wants to, this, when you talk about the high ticket space, we're not, you're not really talking. Yes, it's a numbers game, but it's not a quantity game. It's a quality game. You're going to talk to 100 people, maybe more daily. And law of averages, you probably get one or two that's actually like super qualified. So you're not, it's not a quantity game. You gotta go for who's really, as we say, a good fit, right? We got to go towards those people. And 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be all 100 leads that you're talking to.
Right. There's some people that would disagree with you on the idea that it is a numbers game. So why is it, like, when it comes to, because I do think, like, sales in general, like the guys do get treated like it is a numbers game. You're saying it's not, but when you talk about having, 100 leads, maybe only a couple are really actually qualified. How do you work through it not being a numbers game when that's such a common, I think everybody just kind of assumes that sales is a numbers game. But if you're going to argue that it's not, like, even though only like 2% of those leads coming through are qualified, as you will, like, how in your mind do you rationalize it not being a numbers game? And it is really about the quality.
Yeah, because I think we get hung up on these different ideologies when it comes to sales, the sales industry. It's a numbers game. It's going to have ebb and flows. And I'm not, hey, a lot of these things are true, right? But when you get hung up on, you got to talk to this many people, talk to this many people. I tell my reps, talk to one person. Just talk to one person. Can you marry, can you marry 100 people, Zach, right now if you wanted to?
No, sir.
No. How would you do if you had to marry 100 people? How would you do it? One at a time. So I think when you talk about even forget the psychology of the consumer, sometimes we got to talk about the psychology of the actual sales consultant, where you kind of got to dial back on what's really happening. The idea isn't let's see how I can maximize, 1,000 things at once. Is how can I do one good thing in this 45, or even if you're a setter, right? This 10 to 15 minute or 45 to an hour call conversation. Either it's face-to-face, in-home sales, or whatever. How can I maximize the one thing I'm doing rather than trying to maximize 1,000 things?
Got you. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like you're not thinking about the next thing while you're still working on the thing that's in front of you. So if like you do get to 100, because that's just how the cards were laid out, cool. But you're saying like if you get somebody on the phone, like take the time necessary to maximize what you got right in front of you instead of thinking, oh, I just got to hit my numbers. I got to hit my numbers.
Absolutely. Nothing else matters anymore. You got the one guy. That's like, I'm a big sports fan, so and I watch football. You're gonna play every team by the time we get to the end of the season. But I don't think when they're sitting there and then before kickoff, they're thinking about, hey, we got the Jets, 4 weeks from now. They're not doing that. They're worried about the team that they're actually playing right here, right now. And when you do that day in, day out, or in football week after week, and then you're holding up the Lombardi Trophy, or in sales, you're holding up, hey, I actually got a deal. Now it makes sense. Now you replicate that one day, one call at a time, instead of thinking, oh, I got to call 10 people, or I got to do this, do that. Yes, it's going to happen. But again, you maximize that one thing and that 100 will come.
So, well, as as a leader, as a manager of a team, how do you reconcile that attitude, which I really like, with the idea that there are KPIs that need to get hit, or do you just throw out KPI requirements or expectations out the window? Like how do you work those two things together?
No, so there are KPIs, right? There definitely KPIs, and I think KPIs, we look at KPIs as a law, right? Don't do this, or you better do this, or over at sales or KPIs is more, hey, this is standard. This is what it's supposed to look like. That's like if I take this bottle of water, right? Take this bottle of water. This is what the bottle of water looks like. But if I go ahead and pour some of it out right now, well, now there's less water. If I go and add more, well, now there's more. Within this framework, we're going to see where you're going to be. And I think KPI is more of a measurement, as we just seen right here. It's more of a measurement, not so more of this is exactly how it's supposed to be. And what does that measurement look like, you ask? So let's just say you don't have that much water, but in that bottle, or you don't have that many calls. But now we look a little bit more in depth and say, well, what is that four calls that you do have? And it's like, well, I set 3 of them out of the 4, and 3 of them showed, 2 of them closed. Well, you do those percentages, he did a pretty good job, if you ask me. Now, let's take somebody that hit every single KPI. He hit 200 calls. Yeah, only one person showed and nobody sold. Now you're like, well, he did everything he was supposed to do, but nothing really came out of it. And this is why I say focus on the one thing at one time. Instead of you're trying to maximize KPIs. Oh, yeah, I did exactly what I was supposed to do, but what did you get out of it? You got nothing. You got nothing out of it. That's like saying, hey, I've been to 100 stores today. Like, what did you buy? I brought nothing. Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, they're 100%. At least in my experience, it seems to be this maybe arguably unhealthy fixation with that top metric, like for example, dials. And it's like, what about everything else? Like what happens if your first 5 dials all pick up and then they all set? It's like, well, you ain't getting to 200 because all the time was spent on, on the call. So like, there's a lot more nuance to it. It can't just be the one number. It's got to be the one number in relation to the rest of the numbers. And like you said, what does that actually lead to? If you got the result you're looking for with a quarter of the activity, if you will, then that's still a win-win-win.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think we really have this idea where we can actually close 100 people on one call, and that would never happen. I mean, unless, right now, at the end of this, me and Zach, we sell 100 people something and they all buy at once. Mm-hmm. Probably the only way that can happen during like a webinar or something like that. But that's not the game that we're playing here. And I think people need to, instead of looking at the game entirely, look at what's really happening. And that's what I teach my reps. Look at what's really happening and conduct it that way. And you get better results. Simply.
So what do you do if, like, let's just say you do have the 4 calls, like you kind of a skimpy week or just a low day, low volume day, and like the results aren't there? Like what do you, or you don't get like the desired result out of that, or it's just subpar? Like, what's your conversations look like with the team? How do you guys navigate through the lower times where maybe there wasn't the volume on the front end that could kind of overcompensate for a smaller batch not working out?
Right. So let's just say somebody does just do 4 calls. Is that what you're saying? They do 4 calls and nothing happens at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just say something like that happened. And again, now we have that measurement. So going back to my handy dandy water bottle, all right? If they only have 4 calls on that water bottle, maybe we need to add more water now because we're still thirsty here. We didn't get quenched with that little bit of water that we had. So maybe we need to increase it. And this is how we should be using KPIs. Let's say we increase it. We're still thirsty. We're still dehydrated. Well, let's add a little bit more water. Let's increase the volume now. Now it's turned into a numbers game more and more as we go. But the idea isn't to have all the water in the world. No, it's to get a drink and actually feel quenched. Or again, in sales, actually close a deal. How far do we have to go to close a deal?
So you're saying you
reevaluate the conversation that's being held.
Yeah. So you're saying you reevaluate the KPIs like in real time, like on a regular basis. You don't just say, okay, look, the KPI is $200 and that's it. Like you fluctuate depending on some other things that are going on, or like, is it kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. So again, there's a standard, right? There's always going to be a standard.
Okay.
And let's just say that is 200 dials, but within the time that you've been on, if you've been on an hour and you set 4, 5, 6, 7 deals to a closer, then you're on track today. I'm not really looking at your 200 KPIs anymore. Whatever you're doing, continue to do that. We'll talk at the end of the day. No one ever gets mad at, if let's use sports. If there's 4 seconds to go and a quarterback just lob it up to the receiver and somehow the receiver caught it and everybody say, oh, he got lucky. Did he still win the game? He did. No one's really worrying about how it happened. That was the outcome. That is the desired outcome, is to get the deal, is to set the close or whatever you're looking to do. And again, if we got to do a little bit more, then we do a little bit more. But I'm not going to say, oh, they won a game that way, so it doesn't count. No, you're still doing your job. You're still doing your job. Oh man, oh man, this guy that said 14 calls. He did 14 calls and said every single one, and about 10 of them showed, but he didn't make 200. Now we got to have a conversation. Absolutely not. No. Your 200 is that's your standard within that framework. How many of those 200 is it going to take to do your job? Your job isn't to make 200 calls. That's where people get it wrong. People think, and new reps, they come on, they think their job is to make 200 calls. Your job is to take those 200 calls and do your job, which is to set appointments.
So essentially, you're looking for, like, you don't really care if it takes 50 dials to get, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets, whatever the actual numbers that you're looking for. So like, let's say someone does do that. Let's say someone, like, just for whatever reason, they're like a quarter of the way making their dials, and like they've hit that 5, 6, 7 sets that you guys are looking for. Like, do it just keep going, or I mean, how do you guys? I mean, is it like just do this and then you're done, or like you got just, hey, strike while the iron's hot?
Absolutely. You want to maximize what's happening. Why not? Why not? But if I'm not. If they're like, hey, Aaron, something came up. I only did 100 calls. I know I had to do 2, but I did set like 15. Dude, take your day. Good job. Good job. We will talk tomorrow. We will talk tomorrow. Good game.
Yeah.
That's just how I look at it. Good game.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
You didn't need 50, you didn't need 50 points to win the game. You only needed 14. Good job. Or you didn't need 200 to win a game. You only needed this amount. Good job. And so when you talk about go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I think there's actually a delay, so I apologize. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's mine or whatever it is. I apologize, but the idea is just to switch the mindset on what's really happening. That's all that we do here at Sales Rep with our reps, is to kind of dial back and say, I know people look at it like this, but I want you to look at it like this, because that's really happening. And now you go play.
Yeah. Huh. And I'm sure your reps love you all the more for it. And you have a happier team, which is a more motivated team, less churn. And so, like, not like making everybody hit the activity level just for the sake of hitting the activity level, seems to have even more benefits than just, rep gets to go take care of something that he wants to take care of without getting fired.
Right. And when we look at, what we're doing here, it is a beautiful, environment. I know people say, oh, we treat this like a family. No, it really is. Because listen, you're going to always hear me say, iron sharpens iron. We're all here to get better. Hell, I'm here to get better, and we use that data no matter how much it is, and we get better. We do just that. And when you create that kind of environment within a team, yeah, people do. Again, they let their hair down. They feel a little bit more comfortable to what they're going to do. It creates a better performance rate, not closing rate, not show rate, a better performance rate. So they're willing to do more. They're willing to do better. They're eager to learn more.
Yeah. I love that. It's less top down. Yeah. And it's like you're kind of getting more buy-in there. And you're like really empowering the guys to like you said, want to show up, and really just increasing their, like you said, their willingness and just that desire to really be more and do more, be better.
Yeah. 100%.
I love it. Well, okay. I want to hear from you on what you told me about before the call started. And I want to talk about why you think objections are overrated. Like, what do you mean by that? Because objections are a very common thing that we all experience, and there's so much sales training around objections. And to say something like objections are overrated, like, I don't know, kind of a contrarian type thing to say. So I'd be curious to have you unpack that, because a lot of people who are watching this are sales pros, because I'm recruiting. So that's who a lot of my audience is on here. So I'd be curious to hear what you mean by that.
Yeah, I think we take the idea of objection definitely in what we do on a day-to-day. We hold it at such a high regard. And technically, what you're holding at a high regard is a F or a D or a C on a test. You got a couple wrong. You didn't get a full A. You're holding your missed opportunities at a high regard than the opportunities that you actually did hit. Now, what do I mean by that? So what is an objection? Objection is when a customer, kind of layman's terms, give you some pushback. And just think about what's happening. We're putting that on a pedestal and saying, hey, I am waiting for this opportunity. I've trained all my life for this. I go from Monday to Friday waiting on this missed opportunity to fix it. I'm waiting on the pipes to bust just to get out my tools just to fix it. No, that's not what we do here. All right, that is not what we do here. We do not wait for the fourth quarter, 2 seconds to go, and throw that lob that I was talking about and hope for a miracle, because that's what we call it. If you go to highlights, miracle highlights, they're all like 2 seconds. They're at the end of the game, and something crazy happens. Now think about what we do every day as sales professionals. If every call you wait to the last 2 seconds to try to get a deal, try to wait for a miracle, that's crazy. That is wild. Definitely when we're professionals, definitely when we're working on our craft, you want to wait. You rather hope for a miracle that you fix this issue that you messed up on, where you could have handled it a long time ago. You're waiting for that very last second, or that moment, that pivotal moment, like it's a movie, the turning point, to fix it. That's not what I teach. I do not care about objections. And to me, the objections are they're just questions. They're just questions. They're exaggerated questions from the idea of not teaching the client. They're just exaggerated questions. And I think if we actually extract those questions and really understand what's really going on and slow it down just a little bit, yeah, you wouldn't have objections. If I have and I would tell people on the call, if you got any questions after I'm done, I would be super surprised. But if you do, you allow me to know exactly where I messed up, because that's exactly what just happened.
Mm. So you're talking about really, well, and I think some of this is obviously going to come from really understanding what you're selling and who you're selling it to be able to head this stuff off at the pass. But it sounds like what you're saying is that you're just really making sure that this stuff is already dealt with. So it's like if you have something that comes up, it's not really an objection. You're just asking like a clarifying question, or you're trying to rehash something that you don't quite understand. So you're saying like the objection, it isn't really an objection to begin with. Is that kind of what you're saying?
It's not really an objection to begin with. And when you go all these trainings on objections, we are training for something that either can be dealt with or something that's not really happening. We're literally putting in our arsenal all of these weapons for a war that's not really a war. And I've seen reps, they do this day in and day out, where they literally focus on that one part of the sales process, and that is handling objections. Mm-hmm. But they never focus on from A to Z how to effectively communicate their product and match it to the solution of what they're going through. They don't focus on that, but they'll focus on how to handle objection. So you take that one little aspect of the entire sales process, and that right there, you're hanging on that to close your deals. That's a lot. To me, that's mm-hmm. kind of crazy. But that's why I say it's overrated.
Mm. So you're saying it's less about the fact that like, for example, a question's coming up, and more about how it's being treated in the salesperson's mind. Like they're treating it like it's something that it's actually not.
Right. They're holding it at a very high regard. Like it's something that, like, oh man, I just got a crazy objection. It's like, no, you didn't. You're probably just got a question to something that you didn't fully explain, or something you thought you can just kind of bypass that. Now it's coming back at you. That's really all it is. And this is why I say slow it down just a little bit. Slow it down and really see it was truly happening. If you're in a relationship, you're in an argument, between your spouse or something, y'all can go at it all day on who's right, who's wrong. But if you really slow down, like, okay, what is she really saying? Oh, you're upset because I said happy anniversary after I brushed my teeth, and not while we were still in bed. So that's not the first thing I said. I apologize. Yes, thank you. Dag, I thought you wasn't understanding, because you gotta understand the consumer don't really know how to articulate what we say, what we're saying. So sometimes the person that's giving the objections don't even know how to fully explain what they're going through or what they're thinking. So the objections sound like, I know, I don't really like it. I talked to people before. It's too much money. Okay, no, absolutely. So you say you talked to people before. Well, what do you guys talk about? And why do you think this right here, based on what you've been through with other people, why is this one too much money? Oh, well, look, and then they kind of let their hair down. What it really is, man. I just don't know if this could work. It's a lot of stuff out here. I just don't want to be a scam. Okay, so it's functionality. You're not sure if it's going to work. Yeah, then to pay X amount of dollars for something like this, I just want to make sure that it's worked for me. Okay, so it's security and confidence that you're looking for. Bingo. So now I'm going to sell you security and confidence. That's what you want. You want to feel secure in a decision that you're going to make. Mm-hmm. That's it. So now my entire sales process is going to be based off of the fact that you want to feel secure and confident. And that's what I'm going to do. And we wait the entire sales process just to get to that point to understand that this person on the phone that we've been speaking to for the last 25 minutes just wanted to feel secure. And he wanted to feel confident in the decision that he was going to make. That's it.
So are you saying, like, this, for argument's sake, that little back and forth you just had, is that something that you are having typically and your team's having with prospects at the end of the call, or is this something that you're having earlier on?
You talking about earlier on in my sales career?
No, like early on in the call, like or in the conversation with the prospect.
Yeah, these conversations is happening immediately. These conversations, we're hashing this out now. We're it's like speed dating in a sense. I need to know everything about you in this 15-minute phone call or 45-minute phone call to see if we're actually going to work. I need to. I don't want to wait till we're already married, 3 kids in a home, and then you tell me, hey, just let you know, I don't really like you that much. And I'm like, you got me. See, I should have asked more questions before I married you. I don't want to do that. Because also, what does that do, Zach? Let's just say you do get married and it doesn't work out. Well, now, and we call that a divorce, but in sales, we call that a refund. Oh, and that gets pricey. Almost sounds like a divorce, doesn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the last thing you want, because the person, whatever that need was, it wasn't met. Whatever they was really looking for, it was never met. And we didn't care enough to meet it or to even know what it was. And that's why I say we focus on these objections and wait for just to answer it, just to have the best answer. Who wants to handle this objection? Oh, I think I could do better.
Like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's 100% how these guys do it.
Is this how we're really playing this? Who can do it better? How about I'd rather have somebody be like, hey, I think if they would have done this at the beginning of the call, we wouldn't even be talking about this. Okay, I want to hire him. I want to hire that guy, because he's not waiting to the very end of the call or in the middle or somewhere to where it's can change the entire tone of the conversation. He's getting it out right then and then, right there and then.
So you're not big on long rapport sessions, I'm gathering.
Well, no, see, that's the thing. I think we do focus on rapport. We do focus on, real rapport. And I say real rapport because, it's not so much just the discovery rapport people know about, oh, you have kids. Oh, nice. Okay. All right. How many? Oh, is this why you want to create passive income for yourself? Oh, what would you do, if you had an extra 10,000? And that's cool. But, again, going through those objections, okay. Now we switch the tone a little bit. So how long have you been thinking about doing this? Okay. 2 years. Why haven't you done it? That's a long time. Oh, because XYZ. Oh, I talked to a bunch of people. Why didn't you go with them? Oh, because of price. Oh, so it's always the thing with price with you. It's not. So we're handling objections just in that discovery part. Oh, okay. And you said you got kids, a wife. I'm sure they played the big part in you not, you know. Oh no, they didn't. Also, so even in this decision, you don't even need them. You know. Oh yeah, no, I probably do. Oh, okay. You're figuring out all of these things right there, right there.
Yep.
So by the
Yep.
time we get to the end, now we're not figuring out, oh crap, they got kids, they got a wife. Oh man. Oh
I
wait, you
forgot to
actually
ask.
did talk to people before? I forgot the ask, you know?
Yeah.
And we are creating rapport by doing that.
Right. Because it's frank, it's open, it's honest.
And
It's
this is
like,
what
hey,
we call, you
brass
know,
tacks.
right. It's open, it's honest. And I think when you're talking about let's talk about a doctor, right? You gotta, I should say the setter is the nurse. They come in, how's the pain? It's a level 1 to 10. You tell them and they're nice, they're sweet. That's what setters are, you know, they build this picture. You're like, oh man, I'm excited for this next call.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the closer, which is the doctor. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to help you. I got a bunch of solutions, but I really need to understand who you are first.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I get it. Your arm's broken. I can see that. How did it happen?
Right.
When did it happen? How bad does it hurt? Are you allergic? They're trying to figure out all these different things. So when they create a solution, this is the one size fit all solution. You're not coming back. You need this. And that's what we're looking for. That's what, and I'm going to ask hard questions, even if I have to say, if you don't get your arm fixed, you're going to die. I know that was very crazy that I just said, but hey, it is the truth. And this is why I'm not big on these objection handling training. It's okay. It's good to know. You know, it's good to know how to defend yourself, but do you really want to get in a fight to do that? You really just want to like square up with somebody in Walmart? No, we don't want to do that. It's good to know. Yeah. But does every interaction with somebody you want to get into a tussle? No, that's crazy to me. Sometimes you just want to have an effective, open and honest conversation. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's why I say
and it's like, and some of the language around objection handling is like, oh, defend against the objection handling, or what's the other word they like to use? I forget it now, but yeah, it's all about like it's a battleground, like
combat objections. Yeah,
combat. It's like, you're not, like you said, you're not going to war. Like, you're trying to help this person. Like, you fight the people you're trying to help. Like makes no sense. So I'm right there with you. I love that. That's kind of how I do my calls too. Like, I started out learning sales with that whole, like, spend the time to ask about their life and their family and figure out some common ground with your lifestyles. And, oh, you like to fly fish? I love fly fishing. Oh God, I love it so much. And like, started off doing that. I'm like, this is bleh. Eventually I got to the point where I was like, these guys are on a call because they want a solution. And I am doing them a disservice by sitting here and talking about stuff that literally does not matter. I'm wasting their time and my time. Let's just get straight to it. And so once I started doing that, because I'm with you, I do it very much the same way. It's like, hey, how you doing? Sometimes I'll ask, hey, where are you calling from? Because I'm curious what part of the world you're in. It's like, okay, cool. Thanks for connecting. So you're looking for some sales talent, and like, we just dive right into, what are you looking for? What's what are your needs? Can I actually help you type thing? And just, again, I've had some calls last 15 minutes and they're done. Like, okay, cool. Awesome. I'll send you the paperwork. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. So I'm so with you on the just really kind of, let's do on this call what we came to this call to do, instead of just dancing around like we're, I don't know, a bunch of something. I don't know. I can't think of the word.
Right. Right. It's a reason why when you pay for streaming services, there's an extra charge for no commercials, because no one wants to be interrupted from the goal. The goal is to watch the show, not to be interrupted by this ad. And that's what we do. That's what we do. When they came here to do something, let's figure out what that something is, and let's get it done.
Yeah, I like that. And see, and you guys probably do pretty well, because that's not how everybody typically does it. I'd say that's more abnormal than what's being touted across, kind of a lot of the sales training narrative. It's all these very long, like, I've heard people, they do 2-hour calls, and I'm like, how exhausting. I would not be able to do that for any length of time whatsoever. And maybe there's a need for it depending on what it is, but I mean, I watch this guy on YouTube, Malfi Jets, and I watch him sell 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 jet packages. He doesn't do any of this stuff. They call and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Cool. I can help you. Let's get it done. And then in minutes, the call's over and he's sending off the paperwork. And I know these are like high net worth individuals that are like, hey, we're just here for a transaction, then we're done. But I think the principles can still apply to most other things. It's like, just give people what they came for instead of making them go through this process that at the end of the day is really just, I think, more for the salespeople than it is the prospect.
Right. And I think it's funny because you know, over time in the entire sales industry, right? And that's not even talking about these different sectors. You learn all these different methodologies and these different ways to do stuff, these different practices. And instead of taking it and applying it for what you're doing, they took it all and they put it into this one big sales process. Now you think you got to do all these different steps and handle all these different things. It's like, no, it's not what's happening, you know? So yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Agreed. Yeah. Now because I would think that you guys wouldn't be able to do what you do the way you do it without having some really robust marketing on the front end. Talk to me about how that influences how you guys are able to sell. Like, do you guys really stress pre-framing these prospects, nurturing them a certain way before they get to the prospect, or before they get to the salesperson? I'm sure that influences it at least to some extent.
100%. You know, the buy-in has to happen before they walk into the store. You know exactly what you want before you go into the store.
Thank you.
That's why.
Thank you.
You know, so and the way that I look at it is, and the way that I teach the sales team is, this is one conversation happening in different times. The first conversation is the thought process. We want them to understand, okay, this is something that I probably do want. The interest is them walking into the store. Oh, this is a nice store. Oh, it's in aisle 6. Okay, cool. The closer, well, that's when we're getting to actually picking it up. And do I really need this? And it's like, hi, my name's Aaron, and let's have a conversation. Because I'm going to tell you why you might need it. And that's what's really happening. We look at this, again, going back to the closing process, we look at it as if this is something, some diabolical strategy that needs to happen in this time frame. And if it doesn't, if you're not, you know, the discovery got to be 10 minutes. And if it's longer than that, then you probably did too much rapport, all of this other stuff. And it's like, no, what's really happening? Somebody came, they walked in, they liked it enough to walk in. We allowed them to gain a little bit more interest on it. They did. We taught them about it. They learned. And now they're going to make an educated decision on if this is for them or not. Simple as that.
Yeah. I have long thought that buying online programs is very similar to walking into Best Buy and buying a big ass TV. Like, to me, I don't really, yes, sure, there's nuance, but like you just beautifully described exactly what's been in my brain for forever. Cause I'm like, people, if they want something, they will start taking the steps to move towards getting that thing. And it's like, if you just can kind of guide them along and educate them, people, I still think are smart enough to buy something that they want. Like, you don't have to make that decision for them, twist their arm or anything of the sort. Like, you can just let them buy and they'll do it. Like, people buy stuff all the time. I don't really see a huge difference. I think the difference really is, like, when you look at a TV, like, the education's already been done. Like, people already know what a TV can do. So it's like, that's where I think the marketing and the sales process is a little different here, where it's like, these are programs that people may need some more education on, but the same process is going on inside their brain. Like you're saying, they're going to decide, okay, now I understand what this is. Now I'm clear. Yes, I want it. No, I don't. But before I couldn't decide because I didn't know what it was, but now I can. So I love that you take that approach, because I wholeheartedly agree. That's how, and it's what we talked about at the very beginning, understand the psychology of the buyer. You're a buyer in Best Buy, you're a buyer in Sales Jump's pipeline. So
yeah, 100%. And I think we missed that mark, that a consumer is still a consumer. A consumer will always be a consumer, no matter, again, going back to what I first said, no matter what the product is.
Yeah, 100%. Love that. Manuel said earlier in a comment, pitching is for products and services that lack real value. When do you see Tesla's solar team going door to door selling panels? Never. That's a good point. That's like
a good point.
That's like you don't see advertisements for McLarens and Lamborghinis.
No, I mean it is funny. I said this to my sales team before, and I think I heard it somewhere. But it's a reason a bus is cheap and it holds 30 people. Yet a Bugatti only holds 2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason. And there's a big reason. And I want you to tell me the last time you've seen a Bugatti commercial.
I ain't.
No. Better get a Bugatti sometimes. But you see a bus everywhere you go. So no, that is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very
yeah.
true.
Yeah. Well, cool. What anything else that I didn't ask you at top of mind that you feel is worth tacking in towards the end here?
Yeah, so just going off the consumer and them knowing they want to do something, and us anchoring in that decision that they already had prior to speaking to us. This is where you go into teaching a client rather than pitching. Because, when you're talking about pitching a client, it's, I don't want to say the word it's salesy, right? But I guess to better explain it, when you pitch a client, you're pushing a solution. You're pushing a solution. It's like you go to a doctor and you're like, hey, my arm broke. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to give you this respiratory medicine. He's like, whoa, wait, no. I said, my arm broke. He said, no, I understand that. I'm going to give you this respiratory medicine. We'll fix your arm. Don't worry about that. And like, okay, you gave me a solution, but it's not really what I'm looking for because you just kind of went through that little process. You didn't really understand what was happening, right? Mm-hmm. But then you say when you're teaching, you're kind of drawing, the customer towards a solution. Instead of saying, this is what you need. It's like, hey, have you ever thought about this? Now, again, going back to that thought process. That's the pre-frame. Interesting. No, I haven't. Tell more. Oh, well, because you told me you're looking for this. And right here, this actually aligns to what you're looking to do. Oh, haven't thought about it like that. Yeah, I'll continue. And then now they're like, okay, I definitely need this. And a smarter buyer is a better buyer.
I like that.
A smarter buyer will always be a better buyer. The buyer that doesn't really understand what's going on is either the buyer that's going to get to the end and not do anything at all, or purchase it and then is like, I didn't really, buyer's remorse kick in, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do a refund because I don't even know why I did this. It was an impulse.
Mm-hmm.
We're not looking for that.
Yeah. Nothing worse than getting a claw back.
Nothing worse than that. Yeah, 100%.
Especially, as a sales guy anyway. I love that though. It's like,
go ahead.
A smart buyer. Would you say a smarter buyer is a better buyer? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Smarter buyer is a better buyer. The more educated they are to make a decision, the more they will actually make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and part of the reason I asked about the marketing too is like, it does seem like some of these long drawn out calls that seem to be pretty normal, especially with these types of programs and services, is because the sales rep is taking all that time to educate them on something that they probably should have already been educated on. Like, to me, and I think you sort of said this, or maybe you even said it explicitly, like someone should already know that they want to buy it before they get to the call, or at least have an idea of like, yeah, I want to get this. And then it's like you said, they're walking in the store, they got the thing in their hand. They're like, they wanted it to the point of being able to pick it up. And then it's just the sales rep coming in and explaining, okay, here's how this thing that you want will actually fit with you specifically. And I feel like that's more of what sales should be. It's like, hey, let's take the thing that you want and figure out how it makes sense for you, rather than taking through this long process to help them get to the point where they want it first. And, right. And I think that should right. kind of already happen.
No, 100%. And again, I think we kind of we shoot ourselves in the foot a lot as sales professionals, where again we get hung up on objections, we get hung up on price, we get hung up on all of these things. Again, going back to the doctor, if your arm is broken and he tells you exactly how to fix it, do you really sit back and be like, hold on, wait, how much is it? No, you're like, absolutely, absolutely. Hey, fix this. I need it. You don't be like, you sure there's no copay to all of this? No, because you need help. You need
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
You need help.
You didn't have a broken arm.
I don't.
Yeah, it's like if you didn't have a broken arm, you walk in there and the hospital breaks your arm, and then they try to explain why. It's like, wait a second, this is not how it's supposed to be. Like you're going to them because you already you're showing up to the doctor because you already have the problem and you know you've got the problem and you know you need to fix it. So I just think that sometimes the sales calls, and also like with the objection handling, it seems like they're trying to make up for a lack of properly nurturing people to the point where they are ready to have a sales conversation and it's almost like the salespeople are sort of a blend of marketing and sales, and they really should just be strictly sales.
Right. Exactly. The way I look at sales is there's a bridge between two sides, a problem, a solution. You take the setter says, hey, there's a bridge. It's beautiful. On the other side, you'll be good. Trust me. When you get to the middle, there'll be somebody waiting for you. They get to the middle, they're already scared. It's a bridge. It's high. They're scared. They're nervous. We all know that. It's not so much we don't care, but we understand that everyone's nervous. They're skeptical. Right. Of course, it's a high bridge. They can fall. But the closer job is to take them, meet them in the middle and say, okay, let's get you over to the other side now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think when you come to the call and you're like, before you even point them at the bridge, you're like, hey, I know you're skeptical, dude. And by the way, that the price, it's pretty high, but don't worry about it. Whoa, wait, just relax. Mm-hmm. You're telling them, because if you tell me that, and then you say, look that way, I'm like, no, you just told me the worst of the worst. I don't even want to look now. Allow them to pursue something they were already pursuing. And then, like you said, simply guide them. That's all you're doing. That's what the entire sales process is. It's, hey, take my hand. All right, I'm going to get you even further. Take his hand. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to get you further. And that's just what's happening. And when you think about it, you're creating rapport. And now you're creating rapport to where now you have a customer that's on fire for your business.
Mm-hmm.
To where they say, no, that's my people. They take care of me.
Yeah.
So we focus on all these little components of the sales process, and we don't focus on the big picture of what's happening.
Very true. Yeah. And then it's like, if you are really guiding and educating the prospect properly, if you get to the end and they're like, this ain't for me, it's a real no. And you're like, okay, well, I know that if I try to push this and you really don't want it and you're actually educated on it, you're probably going to be a chargeback from buyer's remorse if I really try to make this happen when now that you're educated, like, hey, this is not for me.
Right. 100%. That's an absolute no. And I think you hear, if you ever sit through one of my sales trainings, you hear me say this: look for absolutes, not for these little wishy-washy no, yes. Look for absolute yeses, absolute nos.
Yeah,
they're the definitive statements. You can't make it up if you try. When they said no, they meant no.
Right.
Or vice versa. They say yes, they meant yes.
Right.
And we just, again, we move along from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if they say yes, you're like, you don't say, "Wow, I'm not so sure." No, okay, let's do it.
Right, exactly. You kind of like talk yourself out of the sale at that point.
Yeah.
Well, you sure?
You
didn't sound like you were sure. No. All right, good. You get them going. I think people forget. They came to you. I don't care how they came to you. They came to you.
Right.
Even if it was a cold call and now they're talking to a closer, they still showed up to that appointment. They came to you. They're looking for help.
Yeah.
Help them.
100%. Man, love it. Listen, Aaron, it's been good. It's been fun. Thanks for all your insights. It's been fun chatting. And thanks for everybody who's been watching live. Appreciate y'all's times. There's a lot of things you could be doing. So thanks for hanging out. And yeah, it's good chatting. We'll stay in touch. We'll do this again. I think we need to be highlighting more types of processes like what you're doing over at Sales Jump, because I think the space really, I mean, just sales in general, but this space, since we're in it, really needs to be hearing more of what y'all are doing, because I think that's honestly better for everyone involved to be thinking about some of the things we talked about. So appreciate you big time.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Y'all be good. See y'all next time. Wow.